Right, hi guys, and welcome back to another Hoya example solves video. Today I'm going to be doing some white, yellow, neutral cross edge examples on 7x7, and I'm going to include third and fourth center in this as well, because the order that I do those centers in is going to determine whether I do white or yellow as my cross color. So here we go, here's the first example, and straight away I can see these two pieces and these two pieces on white, which could make a nice inner bar. But I can see I can also do that on blue, and I've got a lot more blue pieces to work with. So I'm going to go for blue here, and I don't need to do any moves to set up. I can just straight away slice this piece up here, and then this edge up as well to make the inner bar like that. Now I've got quite a lot of options. I'm going to work with this first because I've got an inner bar here. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and then I can bring this down, do an F move, and line it up with this bar here. Next, I saw some stuff on the bottom, so I'm going to rotate down, and I can pair this edge up with this bar like that, and then we have our last one here. As I'm doing that, I can see these two and this one. So I'm going to insert the bar at the same time as pairing it up with this corner, but I need to finish it first. So I can pair it with this, and then this. And now I know from before, without having to look, that this bar is not going to make a 3 mover. So I'm just going to go straight into doing an L wide 2, and then an F prime, and then finishing the bar like that. Now for our last bar, we can build these two with this one, like that. And then the other pieces are here and here. And so I can pair this up, the double slice. And then this is a bit of an annoying case, so I'm just going to bring it down, build the bar like that, and then solve it. Now I know, having solved blue on the back, which is not one of my cross centers, that I'm going to need to do white on the bottom, as you can see here. And I can do these two pieces and these two pieces to make an inner bar. And then we have quite a lot of stuff here as well. We've got this and this. So we're just one piece away from making another bar. So I'm going to bring that down, make the bar, and then do a double slice move to cancel into inserting it. Then we've got this pattern and this piece as well. And we can hide this with an M slice and insert it into the bar like that. And finally our last piece is here. And again, I'm going to do a double slice to cancel into inserting it. Next up, I saw this, and we've got a few pieces on the top. We can't pair it with this because this center is in the same orbit as this center. So I'm going to instead pair it with this and then this block, because as you can see, that goes on the other side. So from here, I can do a U2 to put this here, and then this stays where it is. And I remember seeing from before that one of the other centerpieces is in the left-hand empty bar slot on the bottom, and it's a piece like this. And as we saw before, that's an annoying case to deal with when that's stuck in the same center, whereas the corner centers being in the slot already is a less bad case. So I'm going to insert this bar into the left to take out this other piece, like that. And now I can pair these three. I can build these two and take this one out, and then pair them up again. And then finally we have these two pieces and this bar here, and I don't really want to use M moves if I can help it, so I'm just going to do a longer 2-gen solution, which goes like this. So firstly, what I can see for cross edges then is orange. I can see these two pieces here. They're both oriented, and there's a really nice way to pair them in the U layer. So I'm going to put the inner wing in the back, hide it, move the midge over, and then bring this back down to create this block. Then we have this other piece down here, which we can do a similar idea with, but this time it's misoriented. So I'm going to put it opposite this block in the U layer. So I need to move this over here, bring this other one up, and now with a similar idea, we can do a slice move to make the bar there. And so as I'm doing that, I can see that this wing is going to get brought down to here and solved, which is really nice because it means we don't have to do any setup moves to get a 5x5 last cross edge case. So here we have our last wing that's here, and we have our midge block oriented in the U layer. So for this case, I would do F prime, U2, F, and then set up to, in this case, 5R wide, U2, 5R wide prime. So the next thing I saw would probably have been this blue piece and this blue piece. I did see these as well, but these two, firstly, one's an outer wing and one's an inner wing, and that's not necessarily what we want to work with. And also, they're flipped relative to each other, and that means that when we solve them relative to each other, they're going to be separated by a couple of empty slots. And so that means we'd have to use more slice moves, which we don't necessarily want to do. So I'm going to go for blue next, and I compare these just in the same way that we did before in the U layer, just like that. Now the other blue piece is down here, and so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to bring this to the U layer because it's oriented, and this block is also oriented. I'm going to pair them in the U layer, and I need to make sure that I set myself up for the correct angle to do this from. So when both of the pieces that you want to pair up are oriented, then you need to put them in adjacent edge slots in the U layer. Now if I were to do this, so bring this to the front and then do an R2, then I would have to still use a slice move to pair this up, because we can't hide it like that and then move it over, because that doesn't pair this block up. So instead what I would do from here is I'd do a U prime to put this in the back. And then when I do an R2, now this block and this other inner wing are correctly set up to be paired in the U layer in 3 moves like that. And as I was doing that, I was aware of this piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this because it's oriented. So I'm just going to do that. This one did get brought down into a slot, but I know that because this is oriented and this is misoriented, that we're going to have a really easy setup to, again, 5R wide U2, 5R wide prime. And that's what we have here. So I can put this opposite. We have an empty slot here, so I can just do one move to set it up. And then we have our insertion. So next up, I can see all of the inner red pieces. We've got this one here and then these two. So this time I'm going to solve them directly into DF because I think that's going to be easier because we have a flipped edge case. And so the way I would solve this is I would solve this one with just an F move. And then we have this case, which is not too bad. Just to note that here, sometimes what I do recommend is doing a U or a U prime before you do an F move to keep stuff in the U layer. But in this case, I think mainly because a lot of the flipped edge cases that you get on 5x5 are very, very equal in speed. It doesn't really matter which one you do. And in this case, doing a U and then an F and then a U prime as 3 moves to get this case is probably not as worth it as just doing an F and then getting this case, which is also, quite comparable in speed. So that's what I would do. And then here for this case, we can insert this wing and then cancel into slicing the midge in, and that would look like this. So our wing going to get sliced down with a double slice and then cancel into bringing this up and inserting the midge. Then we have this piece and this piece, our 2 outer wings. And this is not a great case. The way I would solve this myself, I would do something like F2 to bring this to the U layer, U2 to set it opposite for this wing, and then an F again, and we are now set up to, in this case, R wide prime, F2, R wide. So finally, with green, again, we have 2 oriented pieces, and this time they're opposite each other. So I'm just going to immediately make these into a block by hiding the inner wing, doing a U2, and then bringing it back down to create the block. And our other piece is in a back slot here. And again, it's oriented, so I'm going to want to bring it to the U layer. But if I just did an R prime straight away, then as you can see, this pattern means they are going to need slice moves to be paired up into the block. So what I'll do instead is bring this to the front and then do the R prime to set them correctly adjacent next to each other in the U layer. So now I'm going to solve this block with this piece by hiding the block, bringing it over, and then making it. And as I was doing that, I saw this piece, this outer wing is now misoriented and opposite it, which is really nice, which means we can very easily set up to 3R wide U2, 3R wide prime variation with our other piece. Our other piece is back here. It's in a back slot, which is not good, but it's oriented, which is good because we want to solve it to the bottom. And we can do that in just 3 moves. We can do D prime, L prime, D, just like that. And now we just have a 4 mover. Okay, so up next I can see a lot of orange pieces, so I'm going to go for the orange center as my third. I can make a bar with these 2 pieces and this, so I'm going to pair those up like that and then make the bar. Now I can see this. I can see these 3 pieces. I am going to use this one as well because I've got these 2 here, and I can make these and these 2 into a bar like that, and then I can just slice this midge in like that. So solve it there. Then I do see these, but I can also see these, and these are really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead, move those out of the way, pair this bar like this, and then insert it into the left. Then we've got these, so I'm going to put them down here, and then these two. And I can already remember that these two are not in the right place relative to each other to just insert them with like a slice move like that. So what I'm going to do instead is a similar idea. Because I know that the middle slice is not free, because we have this bar solved already, but I know this inner right hand slice is free, I'm just going to slice them down like this so that the corner gets solved. And then I'm going to do what I did before to hide this middle center, and then pair the bar like that. And I can see this piece already is going to go down. So I'm going to next build these two like that, and then pair them with this. And I already know from before that when I bring this down, the bar is going to get connected by this center, so I can just insert it straight into the back. And again, I've done a non-cross color center for my third center, so I'm going to do the bottom center next as my cross color, which in this case is yellow. And straight away I can see a way to make an inner bar. I'm going to use this sort of corner center, and then this one, and this row of 3. So I'm going to insert this with a U2, and that's going to make that bar there. And I'm not going to insert it just yet in case there's a way I can make an inner bar first, because that would be nicer if I could do that. So I'm going to pair these two like that, and then I just need 2 more. And I know there are none in this face, so I'm going to go straight back to the top. And I can use these to make a bar like that. Insert, and I can do a D move, and then I can straight away insert this. So now I also saw these, and what I'm going to do here, again, similar idea that I've done already, is hide this middle center and pair it with these, like that. And then I know I can set this one up opposite to the bar, because that's the only one on this face that would work. And I already know that this is the free inner bar slot. So I'm not going to do F moves here. I'm going to do U moves to keep this in the right line, so that I can insert like that, cancel, and insert with the double slice. So from here I can see that these 2 bars are both the same, which means that in the on the D face, both of these 2 edges that need to pair up, that are in the same orbit, are going to be stuck in the slots. And I can also tell that because they're both in the same orbit, it's impossible for them to both be on the same side. So that means one's going to be in the left hand empty slot and one's going to be in the right hand empty slot. And so what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to insert the left hand one onto the front, so that I can build this bar. And so I can do a slice move like that, and I'm going to want to pair it with this bar on the top. So I'm going to do an F prime to put it in the right line. And then what I can do, because I know this center is also already here, I'm going to cancel into inserting it like that. Now I'm going to use this corner to finish off this bar like that. And I can see this got broken up already. And actually I can see that there are no pieces in the top anymore. It's just these 2 left unsolved, as we can see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pair them up by hiding this. And instead of taking this out and then pairing them up and all of that, I'm just going to do a commutator. Okay, so first up I can see some orange pieces. I can see these 2 that are in the same orientation, in the same slice, but they're separated, and the other piece is here. I'm just going to insert these first, and that's going to turn this into a 4 mover. So I'm going to do this and make sure that when I insert these, I'm going to bring this to the top at the same time. So then I can slice this piece in. We've got this piece here and our other inner wing here, so we definitely want to do this first. And what I can notice here, because this is misoriented, I can just bring this in 1 move to the U layer, and that'll be a 3 mover after that, but that's going to put this back here. So what I'm going to do before I insert this last piece, because I know this is going to go to the back slot, I'm going to do a B move to bring it then to the U layer. And it's going to be oriented in the back slot, so the B move is going to misorient it in the U layer. So then we're going to get a nicer case. So I'm going to do this one, and then the B move there, and then insert this in 3 moves, and that leaves another 3 mover here. Next up, I would probably do blue because I saw this piece here and it's over the slot it needs to be in, and also this one. And in this case, what I think I'll do is I'll put this in the bottom and take this out into the U layer as I'm doing that. So instead of an L2, I'm just going to do an L prime, and then a U prime to bring this to the front, and then another L prime, and then a line. So our other inner wing is back here and is misoriented, so we can do a 2-gen setup to the 3R wide U2 3R wide prime variation. So we've got these in the back, and I can see that this this whole block is going to get inserted, and then I just have this one at the end, which is going to not be affected at all, and it's going to be a 3 mover. Next up, I'll do red because I can see these two. Again, they're both oriented in the U layer, and they're in the right slots relative to each other to be paired up within just 3 moves. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And our final piece is back here, and it's misoriented this time. So I'm going to want to put them this block opposite to it in the U layer. And now here, normally what I would do is do something like a U and then fix this cross edge so that I can slice this piece up and keep this whole midge block oriented, because that's good. But what I can see in this specific case is if I do a U and then fix this cross edge, these two pieces are going to get sent into a back slot and they're going to be oriented. So that's really not a good case. So I'm going to avoid that by doing a U prime instead. And these are going to stay in the U layer. And now I could slice down, but there's no easy way to keep this oriented in like 3 or 4 moves. So I'm just going to slice this up instead and deal with a, which like I've said before, is definitely not a bad thing. It's just the midge-oriented cases are generally speaking a bit better, but it's not a big difference. So in this scenario, I think this is better. So I'm going to pair the block like that, and I'm going to bring it over to the side to keep it in the U layer. And then I can see we have this piece and this piece. And so if I were to solve this one first, then that would leave this piece misoriented, but not in the 3 mover position. So I'm not going to do that because I'm going to do this one first. And that means I can also insert this straight away in 3 moves. That's not going to affect this piece at all. And then when I bring it up, this one will be in a 3 mover position. So I'm going to do this with an F2, then insert this block like that. And then I can go straight into this. It will become a 3 mover when I put it up here. And throughout all of that, these 2 pieces that we preserved in the U layer haven't moved at all. So what I'm going to do, when I know I'll bring this up and they'll go into a back slot, but because there's nothing here, I can then immediately do another L prime right afterwards to solve those 2. So I'm going to do that, insert that final red piece, and then immediately bring these into the correct slot. So now here, although we have preserved this outer wing relative to the midge, the piece that needs to go in between is here. And I don't particularly want to just solve this like with slice moves because it's a bit awkward and it's quite long. I can see what I can do instead is just ignore this piece and focus on the midge and the 2 inner wings, which are here and here. And so I can solve all of those 3 pieces in just 6 moves with F prime, U2, F prime, and then 4R wide U2, 4R wide prime. That's left us with this case. Both of the other remaining outer wings are in the U layer. And similar idea, we can set up to a 3R wide U2, 3R wide prime variation with this. Because as we can see, this piece that's oriented, we can put opposite the also oriented midge block. And so we could do an F2 to set them up like this because this other piece is misoriented. But we can cancel into moving this piece into the back where it needs to be. So from here, I would do F, U prime, F to set up to this 3 move insert. Okay, and last one for this video. Straight away I can see a lot of yellow pieces, so I'm going to do yellow as my first center. And actually what I'm going to do here, instead of just moving this piece up to get most of the inner bar, what I can see, because these 2 and these 2 are already attached to adjacent centers, what I can actually do first is pair this block over here with these 2 pieces. And that also means that when I insert this, we now have almost all of 2 bars made instead of 1. And then again, instead of just, because I know white's on front, I know the yellow center is on the back, instead of just slicing it down, because I don't know what's going to be with it, I'm going to do a double slice to connect it to this, and then bring it back up, like that, so that I can then make 2 bars in one go. Next up, I can see these 4 pieces in this one. So I'm just going to make the bar like that, insert it into the back. Then we have, I'm going to do the other inner bar next, because we've got these 2 and this and this. And so I can just pair it up like that. And again, I know I've solved blocks on the left already. So I'm going to put this empty slot over on the right, and then this piece so that I can slice it up, and then just do a 3R wide 2. Now I can see there's nothing on the top and only this on this side. So I'm going to rotate like this. And now I can see most of the other pieces. So I'm going to pair these up. And what I'm going to do, because I know that the remaining inner centerpiece that goes here is just a 3R wide 2 slice away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that time to look for the other corner center that I know is on the yellow center already. Because it might be a 3 mover, it might not be, I don't remember yet. So I'm going to do 3R wide 2. And here I can see it is a 3 mover. So I'm just going to move this out of the way, undo, and then do the 3 mover like that. And then because I know yellow is going to be my cross color, I've solved that as my 3rd center on the back. So I can go straight into solving the 4th center, which will be the top color, which is green. So I'm going to insert the last bar like that. And then here I can bring this inner piece up and join with the bar like that. And then this piece as well. And I'm not going to break this up because I'm going to use that next. So I'm going to do it like that. So then I can use this piece to connect with here. And then I can insert this corner with this bar. Like that. Then the next thing I can see, these 3 pieces and these 2 pieces will make a bar together. So I'm going to build them like that. Because I know that my middle bar and my other inner bar are both going to be on the sort of the right hand side of the back center. Instead of inserting this with like U2 R wide prime U2 R wide and then leaving the unsolved bars on the left, because I'm righty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this with like an R wide like that, or you could think about it as like a 5L wide, and then do a U2 like that to leave these unsolved spaces on the right. So then here we can bring these 2 up with this, and that's going to break this, but this center is already in the wrong position, so that doesn't matter too much. So I'm going to bring these 2 pieces up, the disconnected ones, like that. And then again, because I know I've kept my unsolved bars on the right, I can pair these up like this, then do a double slice and insert it into the back. Now I can see 4 of my last 5 pieces, and one of them is the other sort of inner center like this, and I know that will be in this back slot, and that's not a good case. And so I'm just going to take that out straight away. So I'm going to do something like this to bring it out. Then I'm going to make the inner block with this and this. And instead of just doing this, that we'll put these centers opposite each other, which is a bad case. What I'll do instead is I'll pair them up and then do a U2. So that now these are just another 3 moves away from being paired up. And now here for this case, I'm going to put this midge block on the side. I'm going to build it with this corner. And then here I can do an F2 again and insert this bar into the back. And as I'm watching that, I see these 2 green pieces are connected to the bar, and they're going to stay connected to the bar. So as I'm inserting this, they're going to get sent to the back. So I'm just going to bring them straight back down to the U layer. And as it happens, we've got a really lucky case. We've also got these 2 outer wings both paired together as well. And they happen to be solved. So what we have here effectively is another 5x5 last cross-edge case. In this scenario though, we just have the single midge on its own, and then we have the 2 left-hand wings both paired together to make one larger wing, and the same with the 2 on the right. And these happen to be solved, so we don't need to do any setup moves at all. We can just go ahead and do this case straight away. And this is a really nice one as well. So from this angle, with the midge in the back, we're just going to create the block in the U layer of these 3 pieces, and then just insert them like that. Then next I can see these 2 red pieces. This one's flipped, but that's fine because it's the midge, so it's going to still be next to this wing when it's solved. And then we have our other inner wing here. So I'll align red to the front, do an F move, and then with this case, now the shortest solution to this case for this wing being misoriented is from when it's in the back, and it's 6 moves there. But an alternative solution that I also use that's 7 moves is from the angle where this wing is in the left. It's the left-hand wing and it being in the left, so that's how you would recognize it. And that's 7 moves, so both of those solutions are actually the same length if you get the case from this specific angle. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the alternative solution, which is to bring this up to here, opposite this piece, like that. And now we have a 4L wide prime U2 4L wide case. And what I can also see is that that's going to flip this outer wing. It's going to go to here. And then, so I would look around for the other piece. It's back here. So when I solve those pieces like that, now I can just insert this piece in 4 moves in the normal way. And because I know we don't have anything solved in the back, this piece being oriented is not very good. But what I can do, I can just do a B prime. And now it's misoriented in the U layer, and I can insert it in just 3 moves. So next up I saw orange. We've got this piece, and this piece. These two are both oriented in the U layer, and this one is in a slot and is also oriented, but it's in a slot, so we can use the freedom of the F face to influence it. So what I'm actually going to do here, I'm not going to pair these up straight away, because to do that I would need the wing to be in the back. I can't just hide that and then do a U2, because that flips this and it doesn't pair them up. So what I'm going to do first is an F prime. Like I was talking about, we've got that freedom to move this into the U layer. And then I'm going to build this block with this inner wing in a slice move. And now normally what I would say is to keep this in the U layer because it's oriented, and then you can build an oriented midge block. But because I know this piece is here, what I'm actually going to do is bring this down to this slot, which is a bit counterintuitive until you can see that that's going to put them in the same, on the same face, opposite sides, and this is a different orientation to this block. So now what I can do is I can just solve this, and then we have a nice 4 move insertion for this block. The outer wings are here and here, and because this is on the right and this is on the left, and they're different orientations. Again, this one's oriented, this one's misoriented. I'm just going to do simply an L2, and now I'm set up to a 4 mover, which is the best kind of midge solved case. And so here we've got this piece, we can just do F2, in this case 5R wide, U2, 5R wide prime. Now finally moving on to blue, we have one inner wing already solved, we have our midge oriented, and we have the other inner wing misoriented in a back slot. And so because this is oriented and this is misoriented, we can set up to a 3R wide U2 3R wide prime variant again. And they're also in opposite slots, they're in opposite sides of the cube. So we can do an L prime to bring this up and an R prime to bring this up. And then again, we want to put the midge in the front and then undo those moves. And now we can just insert these in 3 moves like that. Finally, our last pieces are here, and this is not a great case. So I would just bring this to the front and then just do an F2 to solve this piece instead of the midge block. And now this is misoriented, and we have a 2-gen setup, again, to a 3R wide U2 3R wide prime variation. So there you go. I hope this video helped. I hope you learned something. As always, carry on doing a lot of untimed solves as well as timed solves, because that's the best practice technique for Hoya, especially for cross edges. And yeah, thanks for watching.